Is this a possibility?
Texas Tech to the SEC is on the table. If you're a Texas Tech fan as of 7 days ago, this is one of the funniest things. I love Texas Tech. I think they are the most valuable, if not second most valuable program in the Big 12 right now, alongside BYU from a brand standpoint. And they are carrying this conference in a lot of ways and bringing the Big 12 into the new era. At the same time, so rich. This is from Matador Kingdom. Here's kind of what happened. This is a bit of the context here. The Big 12 said no more tortillas. And Texas Tech fans said, I want to throw tortillas. And the Big 12 said, hey, that knife you threw on the sideline, don't do that. Come to find out, they didn't throw the knife on the sideline. So that was like the Big 12 walked it back, fined Kansas, hey, we have your back. But the Texas Tech fans felt kind of slighted. They're like, okay, the Big 12 doesn't stand up for us, then we're done. It's over. After 6 wins this season, 6 wins, Matador Kingdom tweets this: it's time to face the ugly truth. The Big 12 does not have our best interests. I understand we all hate the SEC and they're biased. However, I'd rather be in a toxic conference that provides more money, more stability, and a larger brand than a toxic conference that has less money, little stability, and a small brand. It's time to embrace it. SEC 2031. TJ, from there, a lot of these Texas Tech Twitter accounts and some of these rogue fans picked up this entire movement last Thursday or so, where they decided Tech was going to ditch the Big 12 as the number 7 college football team in the country, do their own thing in the SEC, make way more money, and go completely rogue. And then they immediately lost. That's just the first thing they did in this entire campaign to get out of the Big 12 because they're too big, was to exit. And now I'm glad that many of these Tech fans have walked back the idea that they were going to dominate the Big 12 conference to the point where they had to leave the SEC because we were too small. But at the same time, this is what this is indicative of to me is that Texas Tech and their fan base, they recognize how good they are. The Big 12 is missing something, and it is that top dog that is just cocky and has moxie. When Oklahoma won, they would tell you about it. When you saw Texas win the Big 12 or lose in the Big 12, they would tell you about it. We need more. We genuinely need more opportunities for the Big 12 teams at the top to be badass, to tell you how badass they are, because that's how you grow a brand. So even last week when Gambling Gauchos is tweeting, when Texas Tech goes to the SEC, we should schedule all the Big 10 teams. It's incredible. It's not some of the jokes that came out of this, but incredible that Texas Tech really feels like they're in the driver's seat so much so early in their success that they can jump ship to the best conference in college football.
Okay, let's go big picture here. We all understand what it takes to win in this sport.
Yeah.
Money is
right?
important.
There we go, yeah.
I had a conversation with somebody earlier this week about how I think historical success means less now than it ever has. Absolutely. And that conversation was related to Lane leaving Ole Miss for Florida. And big picture, to zoom way out, I promise I'm going somewhere with this. So he's like, man, what lane is this guy driving in right now? No pun intended.
Nice.
I think Florida still has a lot of advantages over Ole Miss, just from an overall standpoint. Resources, recruiting ground, no state income tax, better facilities. Like, Florida is a better job than Ole Miss. However, I don't think that historical importance factors into coaching quite as much as it maybe did in the past. The idea of Florida's won national titles here and Ole Miss has never won national. So this is a place you can come in and win. I don't know that matters like it once did. Now that you've got NIL and the portal, and shoot, everybody in the SEC is rich right now. I mean, even Vandy's got money. All these places have money. And so where I land with that, coming back to Texas Tech has never been considered a place that would maybe go to the SEC. Mm-hmm. Could they, with 4 or 5 years of success where they continue to compete for conference championships and they spend the way that they're spending, could they be a target down the road? I know that we're putting the kibosh on this right now, but is that crazy to think that if they don't pull something off and continue to gain eyeballs and gain success, that they could be a target down the road?
This is the Clemson theory, and it's something that 100% I brought up on my show and on your show a couple of times. Anyone can be Clemson. 2009, I think it was 2009. I'd have to go back. I haven't used this stat in a while. Clemson's I actually had a conversation with Dabo Sweeney about 6 months ago, and we were kind of going over the numbers. And I was like, dude, did you know that in 2009, like as you were just taking over, Clemson had an athletic budget, a surplus, what's the word for when you make money? Your revenue here?
I don't know. I never did.
Yeah. They had a smaller revenue in 2009 in football than Bowling Green. And he didn't know that. He's like, oh, wow, it was that bad. It was that bad. And in the span of 10 years, they became the talk of college football. In 10 years, they became the team that everybody wanted to be. Your envy Clemson. Yeah. And how do you go from having a smaller revenue than Bowling Green to dominating college football, winning multiple national championships? It's a hard question to ask, but a big piece of that for him was culture. And now ultimately the money conversation's in play. Clemson has stumbled. With that, if you can combine money and culture at this point, like Texas Tech seems to be doing, like BYU seems to be doing, after 5 years of winning college football playoff games, win a national championship, get 2 under your belt in the span of 6 or 7 years, that's when the SEC and the Big Ten say, okay, this is an investing program, an investing school. We want them in our league. It's a bad thing for the Big 12, and you would hope that we get 2, 3, 4 teams that are competing for college football playoff wins year in and year out. But at the same time, I mean, if you're the SEC and the Big Ten and you see, let's say Texas Tech hypothetically goes 5 years, 4 college football playoffs, 2 national championships, I want that. ESPN wants them to have that. Fox wants that in the Big Ten. That's where this could benefit Texas Tech. They could be the next Clemson. None of us cared about Clemson 15 years ago. None of us. And most of America today, sadly, doesn't care about BYU or Texas Tech for some reason. The only way you can make the country care about you is being in the top 10, winning national championships, winning college football playoff games. Then the rest of the country will start to understand what I see, what I understand as a Big 12 guy.
What's interesting is the way that our numbers look when we talk about Texas Tech and BYU would be indicative that those programs would actually, not to shoo them off from the Big 12. I'm trying to piss you off or the fans that watch this. But what our numbers might indicate is that those programs do actually have relevance when they play, and certainly BYU impacted by their faith. But Texas Tech, a lot of intrigue this year with the money they've spent. Colorado, a lot of intrigue the last few years when they had things kind of rolling a little bit better than they do right now. It's interesting to see the dynamic of that change. I never thought a year and a half ago, 2 years ago when I started this channel, I never thought, man, I'd be doing Texas Tech and BYU videos. I thought, it'd be mostly SEC and Big Ten and maybe some Florida State. People are drawn to some certain programs and want to see them more. I don't have the list of everything right out in front of me, but Texas's TV ratings certainly have taken a rise this year, I would imagine. And if BYU keeps winning, theirs will too. So interesting to kind of think about where this might play out because, again, nobody cared about Clemson, like you said. And
just to cinch it together a bit, NC State's a tough school to talk about, man. Yeah. And it's because they're not winning a lot right now. And I can't think of the last college football addiction show that was specific about Wake Forest, but it's because, they're just...
Because we haven't done one.
Right. But what has Wake Forest done to call for that? I don't want to make their fans mad. I don't want to say they're a bad program or that they're bad people, right? But at some level, if you're not winning consistently in the sport, people don't talk about you. If you're not being talked about, that's not a recipe to be alive in 5 years in a big conference.
And we've done a lot more Vandy content the last 2 years than we ever did before. But I never imagined we'd do Vandy content. And even then, we didn't do much last year. Until they beat Alabama, and then we did a couple of things there. So I went 9 months without talking about Vandy. And even then, it's still somewhat sparse. Like their ratings are not pulling in insane numbers. We don't do a lot of Mississippi State content. We don't do a lot of Kentucky content. And that's nothing against those teams. We just only have so many hours in the day. I ain't doing BC content. I ain't doing Wake Forest content. I've done NC State a couple of times. Louisville is one that's kind of like on the fringe. You focus on the things that are kind of nationally relevant. And Texas Tech, BYU, Utah, Colorado for a little while, certainly nationally relevant in that perspective.
Hey, me again. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is exactly what I use when I need tickets to a college football game. Boop, boop, boop. Game Time. College football's back, by the way. I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's nothing like it, but let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like a bigger battle. There you go. Than the game itself. Endless queues and hidden fees and prices jumping at checkout. And that's why I use Game Time. I pull up the Game Time app, and in just a couple of taps, I see amazing deals. Talking college football games as low as $25. The app makes it super simple. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time to it today. Game Time. Use that code LOCKEDONCollege. $20 off. Game Time.